In this video, I want to show you how you can use VOSViewer to get an overview over a scientific field quite quickly using social network analysis. So I'm here at the page of VOSViewer, it's VOSViewer.com, and to have the most simple start, we just click here on Launch VOSViewer, which is the web start software. So I click here, and once I click on that, VOSViewer opens. Great. So this is a very easy interface. There's not much you can do, but that's actually the beauty of VOSViewer. It really focuses on those few things that you need to make bibliographic analysis work. So let's first create a map. So I click on, map, create. I say it should be based on bibliographic data, and I'm gonna use a bibliographic database file. So you see there are also other options. So you could use the API, for instance, of Microsoft Academic and others to directly access the data. But I have access to Web of Science, so I want to use that. So I click here the first option, read data from bibliographic database files. I click next, and then it asks me to select my file. Now, I already did that, but I just fill you in of what you need to do in case you don't have a data set yet. So here I am in the Web of Science search platform. I'm currently interested in writing a paper on evidence-based education, and I just want to see, okay, what are the positions, what are the main authors, how are they connected to each other. So that's my search string. I click on search, and then, but this of course is Web of Science specific, I can click to export, and I can download them, always 500 records at a time. If there are more entries or more records than those 500, then I just download multiple files. That's no problem. I can select them in VOSViewer and kind of merge them. That's no problem. So I usually download the full record. I say 1 to 362, and the file format I would choose plain text. You can also use depth delimited, but I use plain text most of the time. And then you just click on export. It's compiling the file for you, and then download starts. All right. So now that I have downloaded the data to my hard drive, I go back to VOSViewer and I select my file. So this is the file that I want to use. If you have multiple files, you can just select all of them and click on OK. I'm just now using this one file with 362 entries. I click OK, I click on next, and now it asks me basically, what do I want to see? Well, co-authorship would be one thing, so that I know who is co-authoring with whom. For my purpose, or being a bit more open, I would say citation is very interesting metric. It's like which paper or which author cites which other author. So I'm having citation selected here, and then you can also choose the unit of analysis. So if you have documents, that means basically the article, one article is one node, and you see what are the citations from that one article to others. So that's quite interesting if you want to find out like what are the central articles in a field. Or if the question is more focused on authors, you could also say authors. All right. Then let's just click here on reduce first names of authors to initials, which I think makes sense in terms of readability. I click on next, and then you can have some specific a specific setup of like who is included and who is not included. So here only authors would be included if they have written at least 3 papers. Well, let's make it 2 papers. It just says here 67 meter threshold. If it's 1, then of course it's everyone, 1,145 authors. And the higher the number, of course, the less authors will meet that threshold. Yeah, let's keep it with 2. I think that's actually okay. 67 authors that will be now included in the final map. If you have like a very huge data set here, then there would be another setting where you can reduce the number of authors, where it just gives you the most important ones. But since I only have 67, it doesn't really make sense. So I just click on next. And I see an overview of who are the most cited persons here. All right, then I click on finish. That is a dialog that always pops up, and I hardly ever click on yes here. So it's basically asking you whether you want to have a subset or whether you want to see all the data. If you want to see all the data, which I normally want to do, then, well, just click on no. And now it's doing the magic, and here is the final data set. You see there is actually not a lot of co-cite or citation going on. I mean, those articles are being written, but they do not, or those authors do not refer a lot to each other. So that's already quite interesting actually. There's one small group where we see something like co-citation, and if you zoom in, you see a bit more of the structure. But other than that, there's really not a lot going on. So let me just try it anew, this time using a different unit of analysis. Okay, so I really want to see the document level, see how are they being cited, or maybe also so I'll finish that. I'll keep all the other settings intact basically, and then I arrive at this view. So of course there are much more points now, because these are not authors, but these are papers, and of course there are more papers than authors. And again, we see something similar, but that is quite common with large-scale social network analysis. You see lots of papers that are actually not connected to the core. And then there's this, well, what I call the core in the middle here, where we have some kind of structure going on, right? So that's a bit more interesting, I think, than what we've seen before. So we do see some clusters here also identified with the colors. And yeah, studying a bit more about this, reading those papers, trying to figure out how they are actually connected, is a very good start in finding out more about the field that you are investigating. So I hope this was a fairly interesting and maybe novel perspective of how to do social network analysis using a novel tool, VOSViewer. And as you have seen, it's super easy. So this is something that I often do, just for fun. If I start out with a review, or if I start out with a new field and I just want to understand who are important people here, then this gives you a good view, because you see like the node size here. This is what you see here. Is actually like the number of citations they've received. So this is gives you some view already. Okay, who are like important people, or what are important sources, important articles. And then you can also play around with the visualization features here, so that you maybe understand also the field a bit better. But usually like this original graph, I think, is actually quite readable. All right, so that was VOSViewer. Enjoy using that new tool.